Hi, today is Sunday, March 12th, 2017. It's the second Sunday of Lent, and this is A Swede Speaks. And right now I am breaking my own rule of not making any videos on Sundays. Because if something big enough happens, I will break that rule, and something big enough is happening. My previous video, the latest one I made before this one, was about how a Turkish minister was stopped at the German-Dutch border and wasn't allowed into the Netherlands, and the conflict that escalated out of this. And this conflict has escalated a little more, or there has been some more, development in this. Because what's going on is that the president of Turkey, he's not the prime minister, as I accidentally said yesterday. That's another one. I'm going to mention him too. We'll get to that. But the president of Turkey, Mr. Erdogan, spelled Erdogan, but I think it's pronounced Erdogan. Anyway, he is holding a referendum in April. And what the referendum is about, it's about giving him more power. And for this reason, Turkish politicians are going to Europe, because there are lots of Turks living in different countries in Europe, because they want these Turks to vote for the proposition, well, to give Erdogan more power. And should I first say what I think about Erdogan? I don't like him. He is, to put it mildly, not my favorite guy at all. It seems like Erdogan, he wants to get even more power than he already has. He is Islamizing Turkey. You remember the attempted coup against him last summer, if it was a real coup and not not some arranged thing to give him an excuse to start Islamizing the country. I don't know. But anyway, and when this coup happened, I hoped it was a real coup, and I was cheering for the coup makers. The globalist secretary of, or the globalist Carl Bildt, former Minister for Foreign Affairs in Sweden, he was rooting for Erdogan. The Norwegian globalist and the former leader of the European Council, Torbjörn Jagland, was also rooting for Erdogan. It really makes you sick. How could anyone with half a brain, pardon my French, but how could anyone with half a brain root for Erdogan? The guy is an Islamist, and he is trying to reinvent the caliphate. But let's not get that far ahead yet. I'm going to go through a little about what's going on in Western Europe, as a result of this. Let's start with Sweden. In Sweden, a Turkish top politician named Mehmet Mehdi Eker held a meeting in Fittja, outside of Stockholm, to get people to vote for Erdogan's proposition. There have been protests. I don't think they have been very violent. I haven't heard anything about that, but there have been protests against this by other Turks living in Sweden, or maybe they were Kurds or something, people who are not very fond of this, at least. And several other Turkish politicians are coming to Sweden to campaign. Okay, and in Norway, there is a Turkish politician coming tomorrow to the city of Drammen, outside Oslo. A guy named, Kuma Ishten, I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but you'll see in the links, is coming to the Turkish mosque at Bragernes in Drammen to try to convince the Turkish citizens to vote for Erdogan's proposition. What happens in Denmark? Denmark is interesting, because while Sweden and Norway obviously are just bending over backwards right now, Denmark is a more interesting example. In Denmark, the chairman for foreign policies of two of the parties The party Venstre, which would be translated as left, they are the so-called liberal party of Denmark. Some people call them liberal conservative. Yeah, they belong sort of to the right in Denmark, but that still makes you very left. But yeah, anyway, I digress. And the chairman for foreign policy in the Danish People's Party, Dansk Folkeparti, as they're called in Danish, they both say that they don't want any Turkish political campaign in Denmark. If we look at the left in Denmark, there is a Danish Social Democrat politician and a Socialist People's Party politician who are arranging a protest against this. That's very good. I mean, I'm not a socialist or anything, but at least they are protesting for the right thing right now, so that's fine. And the Danish Prime Minister, Lars Løkke Rasmussen, is postponing his meeting with the Turkish Prime Minister. There he is. His name is Binali Yildirim. And he was supposed to have a meeting with the Danish Prime Minister, but that is being postponed now. As far as I know, last time I checked the Danish media. In the Netherlands, there have been riots in Rotterdam while the Turkish minister was escorted out of the country. And in Austria, they say that the politicians say that Erdogan rallies are not welcome there. So of these countries, some are sane, like Denmark, the Netherlands, Austria. Sweden and Norway is bending over backwards. I don't understand why. And what could be said about this? I mean, this was a long list of things going on in Western and Northern Europe. But one of the things is that there are lots of Turkish citizens living in Europe. They hold Turkish citizenship. Many of them also hold citizenship in, for instance, in Sweden or in Denmark or in Austria or in the Netherlands. I'm not sure about Norway. I know that Norway normally doesn't allow dual citizenships, but I know that sometimes it does, because maybe the old country won't allow them to give up their citizenship. I think it could be the same thing with Denmark, or maybe it's just people living in Denmark with permanent residence permit. Anyway, but this is a problem, because we are now seeing a conflict between Europe and Turkey that is escalating. I mean, it's still talk. Talk and not much action. Well, of course, you had the Turkish minister being escorted out of the Netherlands. I bet this is actually giving lots of votes to Geert Wilders. I still hope he wins. I don't think so, but I hope he wins. But anyway, this is an escalating conflict. And Turkey wants its way. I mean, after World War I, the Ottoman Empire fell. And Turkey was born. It was born as a secular state. And I mean, Turkey was born on a bloodbath. They made lots of terrible things. They had the Armenian genocide. You had the treatment of the Kurds. But still, what happened was that what happened was that Turkey tried to westernize. And they did this by trying to import Western ideas. But maybe these ideas never really got down to the ordinary people. Maybe it was just on the surface in Turkey. And Turkey was for a long time a military dictatorship. And the military made sure that Islamism was kept out of politics. I'm sorry, but I have to support this. That was a good thing. We see what happens now. Because what I could say about this, which of course is not very politically correct, is that this is a decisive moment, a decisive hour for Europe and for the Western world. We are seeing a conflict escalating with Turkey. Are we going to bend over backwards to them? Or are we going to do what I say we should do, as Europeans, as Westerners? First of all, close the border to Turkey. I mean, now Turkey is being bribed by the European Union with millions and millions of euros not to send any more so-called refugees from Turkey that come from Syria or Afghanistan or wherever, and they come to Turkey, and Turkey has been sending people, opening up so they could go over the Mediterranean to Greece and wherever, and then come to Europe, and they could walk from Greece up to Denmark and Sweden and Norway, and they could walk to Germany, and they tried to get to the UK and so on. And the EU has been paying Turkey to make sure that these people don't come to Europe. This is a bribe, or this is extortion. And Erdogan has been using this as a weapon against European politicians, that if you don't do as I say. For instance, he wants Turkish citizens to be able to travel and move freely within the EU countries. Why on earth should why should we allow this? It's really insane. So what should be done is, the European countries, and I'm not fond of the EU, so it's not about that, but we need to cooperate in this specific issue, and that could be done without the Brussels dictatorship. The European countries should close the border to Turkey, and the European countries should collectively send military to guard this border. Even countries that don't have their own border to Turkey could and should still help out. I think Sweden should send military. Norway should send military. Iceland should send military. And yeah, I know, Trump is sort of an isolationist, but if he feels like it, I think it would be fine if he sent troops to help out too. But at least, because this is about the security of the entire continent. And we have to, if we want to survive as a civilization, we have to close that border. We have to put Turkey in its place and show them that enough is enough. And no Turkish politician should be allowed to come to Europe to campaign for this kind of dictatorship that Erdogan wants. Not in a million years. That shouldn't be allowed. They shouldn't be allowed in. And any Turkish citizen who is living in Europe should have to choose between Turkish citizenship and the citizenship of the country where they live, if they are a citizen of that country. And I know someone is going to point out to me now that Turkey is in Europe. No, it isn't. A very small part is in Europe. Most of it is not. So, yeah, I know. Technically, Turkey is a European country, but it's not. It doesn't have European culture. So don't give me that, yeah, I'm not going to use any foul language here. But don't give me that. And because what we are seeing here, we are seeing that the conflict between the East and the West is coming. And I'm not talking about the conflict with the Russians or something like that. No, I think the Russians should put the Turks in place too. And I trust the Russians more right now than I trust the Western leaders, even though I know that Putin and Erdogan, well, have befriended each other now. They weren't very good friends a few years ago, so we'll see what happens. But this is going, I'd like to quote Sir Winston Churchill. This is going to be a battle for Christian civilization. And in the West, in Europe, in the United States, in Canada, yeah, we need leaders, not politicians, leaders who stand up for Judeo-Christian Western civilization. And we need it now. Because, as I said, this is the decisive hour for Europe. And in the long run, for Western civilization. And that's what I have to say about this right now. I would like to thank the people who are supporting this channel through PayPal and through Patreon and through prayers. That is very appreciated. And if you like this channel, please subscribe so you don't miss anything. Please like if you like my videos. If you got something to say, feel free to comment. And I'll respond even to some of the not so sane comments, but I prefer the sane ones. But anyway, just comment if you got something to say. Share my videos on social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. That's very appreciated. And I would also like to encourage you to support this channel. That can be done through PayPal, it can be done through Patreon, and I will include the necessary information in the information box below. This is A Swede Speaks. Have a nice day.